Have you ever felt like days go by but nothing really changes, as if you're stuck in a routine where your dreams seem farther and farther away? Luke felt exactly that way. Every day was the same as the one before, and the future seemed like a blank page he didn't know how to fill. But everything changed on a seemingly ordinary afternoon. While organizing the attic, Luke found an old, dusty notebook hidden among boxes of forgotten memories. It was his father's dream journal. The pages were filled with lists, goals, ideas and desires, but something stood out. None of those goals had been achieved. Luke flipped through the pages, trying to understand. Among crossed-out phrases and unfinished drawings, he saw a pattern, big ambitions, but no clear plan. He remembered how his father always said, "One day I'm going to do this." But that day never came. A strange feeling washed over Luke. He saw a reflection of his own life in that notebook. He too had dreams, or did he? He could hardly remember the last time he had dreamed of something big. It was as if the notebook was talking to him. He felt a mix of guilt and urgency. Was he destined for the same fate as his father? To dream without achieving? Luke made a decision right there. He wouldn't let his dreams disappear like his father's. He grabbed a pen and wrote on the first blank page, "What do I really want?" But he soon realized that this question wasn't so simple. Luke was about to embark on a journey that would change his life. And you? Are you living your dreams or just watching time pass by? The notebook was full of questions, but also of hidden lessons. Luke didn't know it, but he was about to discover something his father never could, the secret to turning dreams into reality. Luke flipped through the notebook, intrigued. Each page seemed like a piece of an unfinished puzzle. There were goals like starting my own business, traveling the world, and even writing a book, but none of them were marked as complete. He began to wonder, why couldn't my father ever achieve these things? Then he remembered something he'd always heard growing up. His father often said, "One day, I'm going to do it." But that day never came. Luke realized that those seemingly harmless words carried something deeper, a lack of clarity. His father had big ambitions, but his dreams were vague. He wanted to change his life or be successful, but he never defined how. A chill ran down Luke's spine as he realized he was making the same mistake. How many times had he thought to himself, "I want to be rich," or "I want a better life," without knowing exactly what that meant? It was no surprise that nothing changed. After all, how can you hit a target you can't even see? He remembered something he'd read in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. A goal is a dream with a deadline. That phrase hit him like a wake-up call. His father had dreamed, but had never turned those dreams into concrete goals. Luke grabbed a pen and wrote, "What do I really want?" This time, he would force himself to go beyond superficial answers. He began to list his deepest desires, but with one detail. Beside each one, he wrote the reason. Why does this matter? That's when he realized the power of a why. It wasn't enough to dream. He needed to understand what was behind that desire. Each reason became a reminder, a guide to keep him going. But the more he wrote, the more he realized that a notebook full of dreams wasn't enough. Something was still missing. Luke was beginning to understand the difference between dreaming and planning. But would he be able to overcome the barrier that had prevented his father from taking action? The decision was about to be made. Luke looked at the notebook, the pages filling up with dreams and their respective whys. It was inspiring, but at the same time, scary. He knew that writing wasn't enough. How many times had his father done the same thing, jotting down plans that never came to fruition? He remembered how his father used to say, "One day I'll start." Luke realized that that phrase was really a disguise for fear. It wasn't the right time, the money wasn't enough, the plan wasn't perfect yet. There was always an excuse to postpone. Perfectionism and procrastination, two forces that Catherine Ponder warns against in the Prosperity Bible, made the ideal moment an illusion. Luke realized he needed to take the first step, even if it wasn't perfect. He chose one of his goals. I want to save money to invest in my own business. It was a big dream, but he decided to break it down into small actions. Today, I'm going to open a separate account for this. Tomorrow, I'm going to study simple investment options. Taking that first step, Luke felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: control. For the first time, he wasn't just dreaming, he was acting. But as he wrote the next step, a doubt arose. What if I fail? Luke had taken the first step, but he knew that wasn't enough. He needed to organize his dreams and find order in the chaos. Would this be the secret to avoiding his father's fate? Luke began to notice a pattern in his father's notebook. There were many dreams, but no order. They were long, disorganized lists with no clear priorities. He wondered, could this be why nothing was ever achieved? Without organization, even the biggest ambitions can get lost in the chaos. The philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson said that life returns to us what we give to it. Luke began to reflect, how can I expect clarity if my actions are disorganized? With pen in hand, he tried to organize his own goals, but it soon became clear that there was also an excess. Luke wanted many things at once: his own business, to save money, to travel, to learn something new. It was as if he wanted to cross an entire ocean in one dive. He remembered a central concept in The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Great transformations begin with small steps. It was obvious, but often forgotten. He needed to break his dreams into smaller parts and set priorities. Luke drew 3 columns in his notebook: long-term, medium-term, and short-term. He decided that each day should contribute, even if only minimally, to his larger goals. It was a simple but powerful strategy. He started with something small, setting aside 30 minutes a day to study business. This was possible, even with his busy schedule. At the end of a week, he felt more progress than in the last few months. But deep down, Luke still felt restless. There was an internal chaos, as if something was blocking his mind. He realized that organizing the notebook was just the beginning. To really move forward, he would have to organize his own mindset. Luke was about to face the biggest obstacle of all: himself. Would he be able to overcome the fears and beliefs that were holding him back? The answer was closer than he imagined. Luke felt that something was still holding him back. He had clear goals. He knew what he needed to do, and he had even started to take the first steps. But even so, a strange feeling invaded him. It was as if every advance was accompanied by a silent doubt. What if I can't do it? He realized that doubt was nothing new. It had been with him for years, camouflaged in excuses like, it's not the right time, or I'm not ready yet. But now it seemed clearer than ever. It was the fear of failure. Joseph Murphy, in The Power of the Subconscious Mind, explains how the beliefs we carry shape our actions. Luke began to understand that this fear came from messages he had internalized since childhood. Words from his father like, "The world is not for those who make mistakes," echoed in his mind, creating invisible barriers. To change this, Luke decided to act differently. He wrote in his notebook, "What if I fail? I'll learn and try again." It was simple, but powerful. He repeated to himself whenever fear arose, "My mistakes don't define who I am. They teach me who I can be." Luke also tried something new: meditation. He had heard that visualization techniques could help reprogram the mind. Following Dr. Joe Dispenza's idea, he set aside 10 minutes a day to imagine his dreams as already realized. He closed his eyes and saw himself achieving his goals, feeling the emotion of each achievement. The fear didn't disappear immediately, but Luke noticed something important. He was no longer paralyzed. Each small advance weakened that inner voice. He understood that action, even with fear, was his greatest ally. Luke was beginning to win his internal battle, but something was still missing. He would discover that small successes can create a powerful force capable of changing everything. Luke began to realize something he'd never noticed before. Small steps really did create big changes. Every task completed, every habit established, every doubt overcome seemed to add up to something greater. He felt that, for the first time, he was building a solid foundation. One day, while reviewing his goals in his notebook, he realized he had already marked some of them as complete. Simple things, like saving enough to start a savings account or studying about investments, but which had seemed impossible before. Earl Nightingale said in The Strangest Secret, "We become what we think about most." Luke began to notice how his focus was changing. Before, his mind was full of uncertainties. Now, it was focused on possibilities. Small successes were fueling his confidence, but with progress came a new challenge: self-sabotage. Whenever he made progress, a part of his mind would say, "This is luck, it won't last." It was as if success was uncomfortable, something he didn't yet know how to accept. Determined to continue, Luke wrote in his notebook, "Small successes breed confidence, and confidence breeds more success." He decided to use this phrase as a mantra. Whenever doubt arose, he would repeat it to himself, reminding himself that every victory, no matter how small, was proof of his progress. With each new step, Luke began to attract good things: a new work contact, an unexpected opportunity, an idea that didn't make sense before, but now seemed brilliant. He realized that consistency was creating something much bigger than he had imagined. But Luke knew there was more to do. He didn't just want to accumulate personal victories. He wanted something bigger, something that would leave a lasting impact. Luke was about to understand that his dreams weren't just about him. They carried a legacy that could inspire other people. But was he ready for that responsibility? Luke felt that he was reaching something deeper than personal success. Every step he took brought him closer not only to his dreams, but also to something bigger: the legacy his father had left behind. While flipping through the notebook, he found a phrase written at the bottom of a page: "If I can't realize my dreams, I hope they inspire someone else to realize theirs." It hit him like a lightning bolt. His father, without realizing it, had planted seeds for a new generation. Catherine Ponder, in the Prosperity Bible, talks about how the positive energy of our desires can impact those around us. Luke began to see his journey not only as a personal achievement, but as an opportunity to transform lives. He decided to share his story. He talked to friends and co-workers, showing the impact of small changes in his life. People started to get inspired, asking questions and asking for advice. Luke realized that the effect of his actions was spreading like ripples in a lake. At a family gathering, Luke opened the notebook and read aloud his father's goals. He dreamed of starting his own business, traveling the world, writing a book. He paused, looking at everyone. And even without having realized it, he taught me the importance of dreaming and acting. Now it's my turn to continue what he started. The room fell silent. His mother smiled with tears in her eyes. "You're doing something he always wanted, Luke. Inspiring other people." Luke realized that he wasn't just living his own dreams. He was bringing a legacy to life. Every step he took made his father's dreams and his own more real. Luke was beginning to understand that true wealth is not only in realizing dreams, but in sharing them. He now looked to the future with certainty. The next chapter would be even greater. Luke sat at the table, his notebook open in front of him. The silence of the night was broken only by the sound of the pen scratching the paper. He was writing something new, something he felt deeply. On the last page, he wrote, Today, I completed my first big dream. I'm ready for the next one. For the first time, Luke felt he didn't need guarantees about the future. He understood what Eckhart Tolle describes in The Power of Now. True transformation occurs in the present. It was in the now that he was building his life. He closed the notebook and looked out at the horizon, where the first light of dawn was beginning to break. That moment, simple and silent, was full of meaning. Luke knew that something was different now. He wasn't just dreaming, he was doing. As he sipped his first coffee of the day, he reflected on everything he had learned. It wasn't just the dreams that mattered, but the clarity to define them, the courage to act, and the patience to move forward, step by step. Every mistake his father had made had become a lesson, a map to avoid the same paths. But Luke knew the work wasn't over. This journey is not about reaching the top, but about continuing to climb. He understood that dreams have no end. Each one realized paves the way for another, even bigger one. He opened the notebook again and wrote, "Next goal. Create something that inspires other people to transform their lives." It was the first time he had thought about something beyond himself. Luke knew his story could be an example for others, just as his father's notebook had been for him. Dreams are never really lost. They wait patiently for us to rediscover them and turn them into reality. The future belongs to those who act today. To help you on this new journey in the new year, we've prepared a special gift, which is available in the description or in the pinned comment of this video. Take advantage of it now. If this content made sense to you, like, share, leave your like, and subscribe to the channel to receive more content like this. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The moment is now. Start today. Start